Welcome back to another edition of 3A Composites Live Learning. Today we're going to talk a little bit about rising cost of goods sold. I'm sure everybody's seeing it out there, whether it's a gasoline pump or in your business, you're getting price increase after price increase. Today we're just going to take a couple minutes. I'm going to talk a little bit about the why of what is happening. We've been predicting this, Doug and I, all year that this was going to come. And then after that, Doug and Steve are going to do an awesome job walking through different ways that you can make your dollar go further in these really interesting times. So first I'll hand off for introductions and remind everybody, if you have any questions at any time, throw them in the chat function. Hannah will keep an eye on those and we'll get to those questions. But first, let Hannah go ahead and introduce herself, the woman behind the scenes here.
Thanks, Alan. My name is Hannah Keeble. I'm the marketing manager for our display and graphics division.
Okay. Hey,
Steve?
Thanks. Yeah, Steve Anderson, sales director of Western Region.
Hi, everybody. I'm Doug Twitchell, director of distributor relations at 3A.
And I'm Alan Plunkett. I'll take the lead here and talk for the first few minutes. I'm director of retail design and sustainability. What that means for me is I spend every day working with North America's largest retailers, restaurant groups, hospitality, financial institution, everybody from Home Depot to Hilton to Chase Bank. Every day I work with them on their in-store visuals, in-store marketing, trying to make their stores look as attractive as possible on the inside. So I just wanted to start today giving a little background on what is going on, why costs are rising the way they are, and some things we can do to offset that, how long it's going to last, some of those kind of things that I'm hearing from big companies in the market. So there's a couple of different costs. Everybody's seeing the soaring costs out there, no matter what it is. We're all involved in it. We're all having to deal with it, that and the supply disruption issues. There's different views on what's going on, everything from a Wharton professor, Jeremy Siegel, saying we're going to go to 20+% inflation for the next 2 to 3 years, to more people saying this is just actually a correction from what had happened during the pandemic. I happen to be more on the side thinking this is a correction, but it is going to be an absolute influencer in how we run business for the back half of this year. So this, I invest with Vanguard, one of the companies I invest with. They recently sent through their prediction on what they see going on with rising costs, inflation in the near future. You see the bottom baseline, 2% is considered a healthy inflation rate. 2% is considered perfect if you can keep it there. We've been there since about 2008. Last month we went to 4.3 or 4% inflation, highest we've seen since 2008. And I'm sure everybody here has seen the cost of goods go outrageous. They went up 6.5% last month, probably going to be even more this month. That's going way back in time before we've seen that. First time since the 70s that we've seen inflation outpace mortgage rates. So there's different views. If you look at the bottom line on this one, it's basically we're just going to continue at a 2%. If you draw that 2% line all the way across the thing, we're at 2%. You go to the go big upside, they're more in line with the Wharton professor saying that we are in for a long-term period of inflation. But the one thing that's interesting about the slide is they all show that right now we are what we're in, is a dramatic spike in inflation, and then how that settles back out for the rest of the year is going to be what's interesting to keep an eye on. But certainly we're going to be, through the rest of this year, we're going to be having to deal with rising costs and inflation. Hannah, if you could go forward one. So this is the more rational thought of it. If you take a look at the inflation that we've done for the last 12 months, you see we're actually in a deflationary period due to COVID and the shutdown, and then very minimal inflation throughout the rest of the year. So that leads me to think that we're really more in just a correction phase, making up for lost time from last year. But I will say we're having that engine, and we've got it humming in the 7,000 RPM range where it's red, and it could go either way. It could bust through and take off, or it could just be a healthy natural recovery from an economic downturn. If you could go next, Tana. Perfect. So we've been talking about this, Doug and I, our first webinar earlier this year. We were introduced and started talking about the K-shaped recovery. And with that, we were warning everybody that come April and May, as the vaccinations roll out, This K-shaped recovery was going to change everything the way business is done. Go ahead, stock up now because there's going to be supply disruption, price increases in a quick 10,000 foot view. What this K-shaped recovery, the first time it's ever happened in the United States. It's named after an Irish-French economist, Richard Cantillon. Only happens in a recession when the government prints money, what we call stimulus checks. It's actually printing money. Wouldn't it be great to come back from vacation and be like, honey, we went over budget by $500 on vacation. No problem. I'll go down in the basement and print some money. We'll be covered. Unfortunately, we can't do that. The government can't do that. And the only way this K-shape comes about is when that money that they print is then misappropriated. In this case, they gave it to everyone. And that caused, we've all had, the clear sheet last year. Anybody selling clear sheet? Yeah, best year of your life. If you're Home Depot, best year of your life. But, if you run a restaurant, you're living hand to mouth, doing everything you can to survive. You've never had an economy like that. And then what we warned about back in January is as the vaccinations roll out and we get closer to things opening back up, mask mandates are dropping everywhere, just about things going back to normal, is when that happens. Let's see if I can do it. That K-shape is going to close. And that's what's happening. That K-shape is closed. Those bottom industries, food service, hospitality, entertainment, travel, anything, schools, anything related to that is closing in a hurry. And then eventually that bottom's going to even cross over the top because, we're all planning our vacation already, right? I mean, everybody's planning a trip to go see grandma, grandpa, go see the beach or, business. I can't wait to get back out and see everybody. I know I see Jeff down here on my screen in Philadelphia. Can't wait I'm going to be out that way before long. I can't wait to get back out and see people that I know. So we're all planning on that. The hotels were up 319% last month in April. Gasoline, it's rising over $1 a gallon because of demand. So this K-shape that we warned about is happening exactly as we said, and it's closing quickly. So keep that in mind. Keep those industries are going to continue to pound as we go forward. Schools, anything that was depressed, if a school was closed for a year, that's going to be a huge market for coming forward. Hannah, if we could go one more. And we're seeing increased cost everywhere. I'll just touch quickly on this. Like the average home price has increased by $36,000 this year, just because of the increased price of lumber for this year. That there's just not enough supply to meet the demand. It's not just plastic resin going up. It's not just paper going up. Everything is going up. Hannah, if we could go one more, we'll get into one of my favorite subjects, chicken wings. Even the chicken wing supply is disrupted. You look at Wingstop, they're paying 26% more for chicken wings this year than they had in the past. And alarmingly, I think it was Monday or Tuesday, I saw that Chick-fil-A, usually there's 610 cars in line at the Chick-fil-A at lunch. They are rationing Chick-fil-A sauce now because they don't have enough supply of the sauce. So one per order. Now you can't get 2 sauces with your order. So this is going on everywhere. And if you see in the bottom part, this is actually a quote from the CEO of Wingstop. The overall supply is constrained because they're having trouble finding enough workers. And then, Hannah, if we could go one more, an interesting part of the extension of this worker shortages that a lot of people aren't aware of is 3 million women have left the workforce since the start of this pandemic, and they have absolutely no intention of returning to work. They have absolutely just left the workforce. With that, about 700,000 men have left the workforce. To tell you exactly how dramatic it was and to figure out really quickly why is in September of last year, 625,000 women in September of last year left the workforce as opposed to only about 70,000 men with back to school time. When it came time, women typically were taking on the responsibility of homeschooling, daycares weren't open. But so more than that left the workforce. We're just talking about 3 million that are never going to come back. Doug's got a great slide coming up here a little bit, but everywhere I go around town, I see help wanted, and then even, huge different incentives to get people in. My son, not me, of course, I don't eat fast food, but my son, he's 22 and he eats fast food all the time. And he keeps coming back saying, hey, Dad, the Arby's was closed because they didn't have enough workers. Or, I went to Taco Bell, there's not enough workers. This is crazy. So that's what's going on out there. The lack of workers leading to a lack of supply, which is leading to that K-shape that we saw coming, that K-shape closing So now we're running that economy red hot, and that's leading to inflation. We'll see. It's on that baseline of whether it's going to. I'm not saying hyperinflation. It could be significant inflation, or it just could be a nice correction moving forward. But certainly, with your businesses, it's not going to get any better for the rest of the year. So dive in now. Yeah, Hannah, that last one is, believe it or not, back in the Jimmy Carter presidency back in the 70s, this is what the Wharton professor was saying is going to happen again, where you're looking at 12, 15% inflation, which was incredible. Hopefully we're not headed to that, because that's disastrous, because the banks don't like inflation being above mortgage rates because they lose a lot of money. Not coincidentally, masks come off the first time that happens. So that's a little bit about what's going on now. And then from here, I'll send it off to, we got a couple of ideas. Send it off to the marvelous Doug Twitchell to talk on some ideas to make your dollar spread a little further during these times. Doug?
All right. Thanks, Alan. Thanks for the insight into the world that we live in right now. And then in conjunction with that, you know, a little bit of a look into the future, so that we kind of have an idea of what we're looking at for the balance of this year, at least anyway. So, you know, some of the issues that are currently facing us and the current state of affairs, you know, it isn't going to go away anytime real soon. So we've got to be careful about how we do things, how we proceed, how we go forward. We got to recognize that costs are increasing. Gas is going up. We all see that. Groceries are going up. Alan mentioned housing. It's a significant increase in housing. So knowing that this stuff isn't going to go away and that it's not going to probably change in the real near future, we need to learn how to better cope with some of these situations that we're presented with. So as we look at those, you know, raw materials are going up. We talked about for a long time how raw materials are going up, and you know, Plato said that the necessity is the mother of invention. And you know, that's kind of the place that we're in right now, that you have projects, people have projects that they want to do, but the costs are going up. So how do we work within that? How do we manipulate things to still create those things, but to keep the costs down? And especially in a time when it's hard to find people. So what we're going to talk a little bit about here is some of the products that we offer that can help you with your costs of material, and then also with some of those labor costs. So with raw material prices increasing, you know, supply and demand is what that's all about. Limited supply, limited people that produce that supply. So plants that could possibly be running maybe a third shift can't find people to run a third shift. So there's a number of factors that are going into that are keeping raw material supplies down. And supply and demand, the supply is down, demand is up, and that leads to inflation. So, and even in this, we've got extended lead time. So because they can't find people to come in and produce things, they've had to extend their lead times. And then in conjunction with that, we've got a lot of materials that are imported. So we have a manufacturing plant in China, and if we bring anything from China a year and a half ago, it cost us about $2,500 for a container. It now costs $11,000 for a container. So whether it's raw materials for our industry, or if it's a finished product coming over, you know, you've got to incorporate those additional costs into that. Then once it hits the US, you got to get it to the market, and those fuel costs have gone through the roof. I think, you know, here in North Carolina, we're paying probably about $1.25 a gallon more than we were a year ago at this time. So it costs more to get it here, costs more to ship it around the country. And then in conjunction with that, to get it around the country, there's a shortage of drivers. There just isn't enough people to carry the loads that are out there. We've had situations where we think we've got a load covered coming out of our manufacturing plant, and the driver just doesn't show up because he found a more attractive shipment to handle. So they just don't show up. They are in control, and you know, we are members of IAPD, And about a year ago, IAPD was talking about addressing this. And what do you do with the shortage of drivers? And it's not a lifestyle that a lot of people are looking for. It's a lot of time behind the wheel of a truck if you're a long haul truck driver. And one of the causes of this is that you have to be 21 years old to be a long haul truck driver. And a lot of times, a lot of these guys that are going to look at that as an option, by the time they're 21 years old, they're already got a career started doing something else. So some of those guys just simply don't jump into the trucking business. So as we look at that current economy, some of the reasons that help wanted signs are up everywhere. You know, this is an example. I saw this the other day when I was driving to work, and I had to pull over into the McDonald's parking lot and take a picture of this sign. $500 signing bonus if they hire you at McDonald's. I don't remember ever seeing anything like that. I know signing bonuses back in the .com era, but a signing bonus to come on to McDonald's. So this is the situation we're in. There was a guy here in North Carolina that was offering $50 just if you would come in and interview. He wasn't even going to hire you maybe, but he was paying $50 to interview. There is a shortage of people to come and work. And so that's some of the things that we want to talk about today. Knowing these current situations that we're in, raw material shortages, costs of materials going up, and you probably don't have the labor that you want to process this in your shop right now. So what are some of the things that we can do to address those challenges that we've got right now? Well, some of the things that you can look at are things that are going to reduce the amount of time the limited number of employees you have spend doing a project. So with that, we have some products that can be a time savings within your facility. So one of those is FOME-COR single step. Comes with a heat activated adhesive already on it. You don't have to put down your own adhesive. You run it through your heated rollers or your press, and your project's completed. You also got FOME-COR Quick Stick. Quick Stick has pressure sensitive adhesive, also saves you the time of putting down an adhesive. Take that the liner off of there, and you can mount your print right to it. Time savings thing. You got X number of people that can do things. The more they can produce, the better off you're going to be. So the next item is in conjunction with that is the Gator foam Quick Stick. So self-adhesive Gator foam, peel and stick. If you're going to mount something to Gator foam, now it comes with the high-tack adhesive on it. You peel it off, stick it on there. Saves you that time and effort also. And then the last item in this group is the Sentry Eclipse. Sentry Eclipse is our 3, 6, or 12.7 black Sentra with a solid white PVC facer, very printable facer. Saves you the time of either flood coating with expensive white inks or laying down vinyl so that you've got something to print on, a white surface to print on, but still getting the advantage of having that black edge. So all of these things are things that you can bring into your facility, process, and maybe instead of making 20 of these an hour, you're making 40 of these an hour with one employee. And with limited number of employees, that's really important right now.
And Doug, if I can, on the flip side, your retailers, your Targets, your Krogers of the world, they usually have one visual person spread out among a number of stores. So these same products, not only is it better for the printer, but it helps the retailer or the restaurant on the other end make their employee go a little bit further. They can boom, go quicker in and out of stores and get their work done. So
Right.
Back to you, Doug.
Right. So the next thing that we'll take a look at here is the opportunities to reduce some of the shop time and material costs. All of our products are composite materials, or typically most of our products are composite materials or foam materials. So they're lightweight, they're easier to move around your shop. You might have to have 2 people carrying a piece of cardboard or a plywood or something like that, where Gator foam, maybe one person in your shop can handle it. So again, somebody else is doing something else, easier to transport. Same when you're going to install it. Maybe you have to send a crew out to install it. Maybe you only have to send 2 people instead of 4 because it's lightweight and easier to transport and lift up if you're going to mount it up onto the wall or on a ceiling type application. Another item to consider, and we know that Debond is not the least expensive substrate that you're going to buy, but in this time when you're having trouble finding people, there should be a great deal of confidence in the marketplace that Debond is extremely high quality. Do it once, do it right. Don't worry about your customer calling you back and saying, hey, the paint's coming off of my sign, or it's chipping, it's fading. Debond has an awfully long history, 30 years in this marketplace with an excellent reputation. Do it once, don't have to send anybody out there. Maybe it costs you $30 more for that substrate, but if you don't have to ever worry about it, that's $30 well spent. Another one, and this is something that we've talked about over the years, but yield beats sheet size beats yield every time. So if you can get the right sheet size, you can do your cutting or your fabrication or your printing with a minimum of waste, and that's something that Steve's going to talk more about. But 11 standard sheet sizes in FOME-COR. In 3mm white sinter, there's 7 standard sheet sizes. So pick the right sheet size, minimize waste, reduce your time spent cutting and fabricating, and that can be a money savings to you also. And then, and it reduces scrap, which is good for everybody. A couple other cost savings ideas. Now, depending upon the application, Sintra Burst may be all that you need for an application. Our sales of Sintra Burst are greatly increasing because people know that Sintra is the premium product in the marketplace. It's made to the highest standards for a foam PVC. Sintra Burst is equivalent to what most of the other products that you see in the marketplace. It has the same kind of physical characteristics that the other standard products do. So going to Sintra Burst when it's appropriate to do can save you about 15% over Sintra. Another item is one of the things that people do is they go, 3mm is not thick enough, so I'll go to 6mm because they jump over everything else. We make 4 and 5mm. There's no reason to go from 3 to 6. There are stopping points in between, and there's about a 10% savings in there. And I think, everybody has seen where 1/4 inch maybe became 236 in some products and markets, and nobody really noticed the difference. There's a lot of applications out there where you could supply 5mm Sintra and it's going to perform the function that needs to be performed without going all the way to 6mm. And we've had a lot of price increases in foam PVC. So there's an opportunity to save some money there. And then time permitting, custom sizes. We run a lot of custom sizes, but take advantage of the sheet sizes, yields. Take a look at all of those options for you. And Steve's going to go over some more of those sheet sizes that are out there available. Another one that people overlook constantly, and this is something that is just a part of the process of making Gator foam. When we make Gator foam, it's a batch process. We put a piece of foam in there, we put 2 skins on it, bond it all together. Then we take it over to the saw, trim all 4 edges, and ship it out to you on a pallet or in a carton. If you're going to be cutting it up anyway, or if you're cutting letters out of it, doing something like that, why pay the extra to us to trim all those edges off? 10% savings in Gator foam approximately if you just buy the work in process material. Another item that's, and then we talked about Debond, already comes painted to you with very high quality paints, high gloss on one side, matte finish on the other side, a lot of colors, brushed silver finish, brushed stainless finish. So there's a lot of options out there that can save you that secondary processing. And then if you look at one of the product, it's got a new name, but we've had it for a while, and that's the FOME-COR Foundation. Foundation was specifically designed for the picture framing market, But if you have a non-print application where you need FOME-COR just as a filler, then that's a good option for you to take a look at. It's going to save some money. And then the last item is DISPA. DISPA recyclable material. You can take that, once it's done, you throw it in the blue bin. It can be fully recycled after that with the paper products. So encourage everybody to use our website. There's complete information in there on products, sizes, colors, all of our phone numbers, all the phone numbers for all of our field salespeople. Call us, talk to us, ask us, hey, what can I do on this project to bring the cost down 5%, 10%? There's a good chance that we can come up with some options for you that'll help save some money. So with that, I'll turn it over to Steve to talk to you about trade shows.
Hey, thanks, Doug. And I just want to, and I think I have 2.5 minutes, so I'll go.
No pressure.
I just wanted to expand on Doug's comments on yields and price and what 3A composites can offer in helping minimize material costs. And you know, part of that, as you can see, is, and Doug referenced this on his earlier, in some of his earlier statements, was the sheet sizes, right? If you take a look at 3mm white center, for instance, you know, you see what's available from 1 meter material up to 2 meter material. And what I'll talk to briefly here is customizing materials. So instead of a 4x8, maybe some of these other sizes will yield parts better, but at least you have those options. Go on to the next slide, Hannah. And we were challenged years back, and this is specific to the trade show industry, and this may not be applicable to everybody on the call, but this is primarily an example of how we were able to utilize some of our processes to better produce more efficient sizes to take material cost away from the trade show people. So they challenged us to take cost out of their particular businesses. And for those who do anything with the trade show companies, or we've all been to trade shows, there are numerous systems that are used. And if you look on the bottom there, you'll see some of the visuals. There's a number of different aluminum extrusions used. And these systems are numerous, and they're all based on European models. And everything out of Europe is metric. Sinter material is used in many of these systems as the infill panels. And you can see those, Dan. There's a visual in the middle picture on that slide. Hannah, go to the next slide. And so what we were challenged to do was take cost out. And what we were able to do through the die configurations that we have available to us, we were able to customize sheets to fit these systems. And if you do the math on the cost savings, it's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars over a long period of time. So by customizing multiple sizes to fit these systems, you know, you saved your cost in sheet cost because you weren't paying for a 4x8. Now you were paying for a 38x87, so 6 square feet less. You had no additional cost to pay somebody to cut these out of 4x8s, and then no waste disposal because 100% of the sheet was being used. So we were challenged, and we were able to use the processes we have to take a lot of cost out of this particular market. Hannah, go flip to the last page if you would. And so, you know, to optimize sheet sizes for best yields, multiple stock sizes in all product lines, custom run to size sheets through our online process, more cost effective, custom cut to size sheets, more efficient yields. So we have numerous options, you know, whether it's stock sheet, cut to size, and all we do is encourage you to take a look at each and every one of your projects, future projects, current projects. And if there's a way to minimize material costs by creating an additional sheet size, you know, feel free to reach out and give us the opportunity to help you there, because we do this on a regular basis and on a daily basis. So thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Doug. Thanks, everyone. We kept you over a couple minutes. Just want to let you know, next month, we're going to be doing live demonstrations on die cutting, all different 3A composite products. We'll be doing that with My Press Needs, just outside Philadelphia, Jeff. I'm sure you're familiar with them. So My Press Needs are they're leaders in how to die cut materials. So next month, that'll be our live learning. And then I think we'll come back with Steve on more on the trade shows in July. So thanks everybody for joining in. I don't see any questions. At this time, we explained it so well, nobody had any questions. So we'll move on from there, and we look forward to seeing everybody next month.